All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. This is our webinar in our government contracting series. And this morning we are going to be talking about doing business with the DoD. And if you are interested in doing business with the DoD, what you need to know about getting your company CMMC ready. So in this webinar today, we will cover exactly what is CMMC, the goal of the certification, the possible impact that it could have on you as a small business, whether you are a prime contractor or a subcontractor. Um, Halima is going to give you an overview of the different levels of the CMMC. There are 5 different maturity levels, and she's going to walk us through really how to get level 1 audit ready, and then she'll give us a high level overview of levels 2, 3, 4, and 5. So a little bit about me. I am Zamora Crawford Olin, and I'm the founder of the Growth Lab, and I'm also the CEO of Crawford Olin LLC, which is a woman-owned, veteran-owned small business, and we essentially work with small businesses who are looking to grow in the federal space. So to date, we've won about almost $7 billion in contracts and government-wide agency contracts, or GWACs. A little bit about my experience. I used to be a former government contracting officer. I've worked with the Navy, Marine Corps, the Army, and Uniformed Services University. I've been teaching government contracting and procurement business and supply chain management since about 2007. And also, I'm a proud Navy veteran, so if we have any veterans out there joining us this morning, definitely thank you for your service. A little bit about the Growth Lab. The community is brand new, just started back in at the end of 2019, and the purpose of it is just to make sure that our minority and women-owned small businesses have an opportunity to increase their competitive readiness in the federal marketplace. So I kept coming in contact through Crawford Olin with a lot of small businesses who needed my support, but just were not really my target client within Crawford Olin. So that's really what birthed the Growth Lab, because there was a need, and so here we are. So the services that we provide, we give free resources, government contracting advice, webinars like we are having here today, some online training. It also serves as a hub for networking and some subcontracting opportunities. And we also provide some small business coaching support services. So if you guys are interested in learning more about the Growth Lab, you'll have an opportunity to do so at the end of this webinar. There is the link to our online community and our website. And so now I get to be quiet, and I'm going to let Ms. Halima introduce herself to you and tell you all about herself. Take it away. You can unmute yourself. Oh, you're still muted. Let's see.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much, Samora. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for joining the virtual GovCon webinar for CMMC. My name is Halima Wanamaker, and I am the CEO and founder of Virtual Essential Management, LLC. We are a woman minority-owned business IT consulting firm. We are also a Microsoft certified partner. I've been in business for about over 4 years, coming into my 5th year anniversary. But I have over 18 years of experience in IT, which includes contracting with DoD and other government agencies, and also as a support engineer with Microsoft directly. So that's pretty much about me. You know, I enjoy what I do. I'm an IT professional, but it's in my blood. I've been doing this first computer at 12 years old. So this is what I do. I enjoy it. And I'm one of the, few people I can say that actually enjoy their career.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and move on. I know. So we're going to go ahead and move on. And we are going to talk about what you guys came to register for. Let me go to the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so what is CMMC? Well, CMMC is the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. So what this means is that the DoD has come and regrouped and said, let's look at the processes that we have in place currently. As you see, on the second paragraph, it has a DFARS 252-204-7012. What does that mean? They had some policies in place for government contractors and subcontractors in order for you to have your environment secure to work with them. So now they're reviewing and they are adding, and they want you to actually be certified. So it's not enough for you to just have, you know, the DFARS, processes in place. You now have to be certified before you can actually go ahead and apply for a contract. So we can keep going. So the goal of the CMMC is obviously it's levels, okay? So level 1 is pretty easy and fair. I mean, enough people that can do it. It's affordable for small businesses to implement. It's not a lot of overhead. The higher levels you go, the more investment you have to make within your environment, okay? But the way that the DoD is doing it now, it's a stepping stone. You start at level 1 and you can work your way up to level 5. So we can go on to the next one.
So this slide here just lets everyone know whether you are a sub or a prime. You're gonna have to get certified eventually.
Absolutely. So with the, oh no, I'm sorry. You can go back one. I was going to talk about that one. I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
So yes, subcontractors and contractors, yes, you do require to be certified. And the great thing about it is that you must be certified every 3 years. So that kind of gives you some time. Let's say that you implement and you look at your infrastructure and you look at your environment and you're saying, okay, I'm going to start at level 1 or I'm going to start at level 2. Then you have 3 years to goal yourself and pace yourself to get to the next level. I will say it will be an ongoing process because the processes that they put in place for each level are very detailed and it's very high level, and you can't think that you'll be able to do it within 1 year to go from one level to the next level. And we're going to go into the levels right now, actually. So we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so the CMMC independent is about what's happening is they're going to have a 3PAO, which is certified companies that are going to be able to audit you. So guess what? You can't self-certify yourself. You actually have to put your environment in place, and then you have to hire an auditor to come and say whether you passed or failed. They are not making this easy. So that's why we're doing this. So you are aware of all of the steps that are required for you to be certified. Go ahead next. Okay, so the key driver with the contractors and subcontractors that all practices for the CMMC level must be met, like I said before, accreditation. So it's basically going to kick off in 2020 this year. All DoD suppliers have until 2025 to prove certification, okay? So the DoD will not inject CMMC into any existing contracts if you currently have a contract with them right now. We can move on. All right, so the levels. So these are the different levels that you have. So level 1 is practices, meaning what they are required of you, which are basically, it's very similar to the FAR. If you see the number there, the FAR 48 CFR 52.20421, that's already in place. So basically they just took those requirements and said, okay, that's level 1, okay? Mm-hmm. And so once you have level 1, there's 17 practices that your environment must meet. Once that's done, you don't have to document, you don't have to do it. They just have to be in place when you get audited. They're going to check your systems. They're going to check your environment. They're going to come into your work area and they're going to say pass or fail, right? The second part is it's level 2. You're adding an additional 55 additional practices. So you're going to get up to 72 practices. You go from 17 to 72, which means now, yes, it is a lot, right? So, which means now, not only do you have to put it in play with practices, the process, but now it has to be documented. And with the documentation, a policy has to exist for each of the activities. The next one is level 3. The level 3 is perform, it's documented, and now managed. What does that mean? Personnel, right? You have to have someone to actually manage all of these different resources and practices that they're having you do. A plan has to exist, it has to be maintained, and also it has to be resourced for all of the activities. I mean, you have to have a dedicated resources. So again, each level is an additional cost. You know, it's going to be more of an investment. And one thing I can say with Zamora, when we were talking before we decided to do this webinar, is that she
Right.
said great businesses invest in themselves. So if you want to grow, guess what? Some of that money that you are making has to go back into your business in order for you to be competitive and for you to be able to have the opportunities to contract on a higher level than most
Right.
some counterparts. Okay.
Yeah, and this
So
to me, I think this is a real barrier to entry for a lot of companies, or it's going to stop companies from growing and scaling because the 17, I mean, like, and you're going to go through these in detail,
absolutely.
and they are very doable, but we don't know, especially if you are a subcontractor and it's in your flow down clauses, because you will have to, everyone will doing business with the DoD have to comply. If you don't have it in place, you can't submit a proposal. It's not like, those other facilities clearances and things like that where you may be able to get it after the contract is awarded, or you have to be auditable. You have to already have that stamp of approval in place. And if you don't, that's going to prohibit you from getting possibly those subcontracting opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so then the next area is you're going to have what, level 4, which level 4 is now you got to perform them, you have to document it, you have to manage it. Now you have to have it reviewed. That means you have to have an auditing system in place for yourself. So again, these are resources. This is at this point at level 4, you're hiring an in-house IT department at this point. This isn't out of the box things that something you can do, or you're actually going to partner with someone that already have this type of stuff in place, because this is really like for enterprise level. Okay. And level 5, again, and that practices, you're talking about 156 practices. All right. And then at level 5, this is 171. And now you have to optimize. You have to have a standard documented approach, meaning that you have to go and make sure that you are doing this at the best way possible. You're always constantly reviewing, you're constantly auditing. And again, this is, more resources that you would have to delegate within your bottom line and your budget for your company to be able to achieve this level. Okay. So just wanted to let you know. But what we're going to do today is we're going to go through in detail level 1. Level 1 is so obtainable, okay? And like you said, you can only start one step at a time. No one runs, you crawl before you're walking, you walk before you run, okay?
Right. And I like this too because it's a good depiction of how these levels are stacking on top of
Absolutely.
each other.
Exactly. So when you have the right level 1 there, you got the first 17, then the 55, then the 130, then the 156, and it adds, as you see, you're adding 55 practices to level 2, you're adding 58 practices for level 3, you're adding 26 an additional, and then after that, you're adding an additional 15. So this
Right.
not only does it come on what it has to do, now you can see what you have to do.
And when we talk about, competitive readiness, this isn't one of those, oh, fake it till you make it type things. We'll figure it out when
Mm-hmm.
we get there. So
Right.
if you are not, as a small business, investing in your infrastructure, it's like that micro small business is, I just see it going bye 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 because you can't do business the same way that you used to before, not with these type of requirements in place. And you know how everything works in the government, DoD leads and then everyone else follows. So
Absolutely.
at some point, it's this is going to be government wide, especially as cybersecurity risks continue to be an issue.
Absolutely. And let's take a real world example of it. What we're dealing with COVID right now. You are going to, even with, I don't know if you have families or if you know people with children, but you know that there's some districts or some schools that were more prepared for when COVID hit, because what they already knew, hey, I'm going to get my environment cyber ready. We're already going to have a way to distribute laptops and have internet connection for these kids and or whatever. And even with your workforce, there were some companies that were more prepared for COVID than others, not waiting until it actually hit, but say, hey, you know what, the cloud is here. Working remotely is here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this and see how to implement this before we need it. So you
Right.
have to stay on top and be innovative in order to stay ahead.
You make an excellent point too. It makes me think about, how we have contractors. We can have people everywhere, and that's
Absolutely.
information being, and especially with people working from home. You are a little more lax than you are, in the workplace. So that, you know, you're not thinking the same because you're not in that controlled environment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I'm ready for the next slide.
All right, level one requirements.
Level one, let's dive into it. Okay, use passwords and PIN to restrict log on. Okay, people, we're in this age here, it's 2020. No more open access. No one should be able to access any device and just get into it. Everything must have a password. Everything must have a PIN to get into it. And it cannot be password one, okay? Those days are over. All right. You have to make sure that you are allowing users to be able to identify who is logging into each device. You have to make sure that when an employee leaves, you're disabling your account. You have to make sure you have processes and procedures on with passwords and access to data. Okay, because with these requirements for the level one requirement, these are federal contract information. But as you go up in the higher levels, you're going to actually be responsible for government information. So on the first level, let's go ahead and implement passwords. Also, how to fail disabling them, using easily guessed, or leaving computers logged in for anyone to access your devices. Okay,
Mm.
so we're on to the next requirement, which is assign users rights to most accounts. What's that mean? That means everyone should not be an administrator. Okay, I know you're busy. I know you're running your company. I know you have your intern or your assistant, and you're like, you know what? Look, here's admin rights to my machine. Log in, download what you need to download. I don't care. I'm too busy. I don't have time. That cannot happen anymore. If they are not an administrator and they are not authorized to do any they don't know how to safeguard your information, you need to make them a user account. And does that mean that that you have you can actually give them certain rights to be able to download certain things, but they should not have the keys to the kingdom for user accounts and that sort of thing. Everything must have a role. Just like they have a role in your company, they must have a role on the devices. Okay. So obviously how to fail this, everyone's an administrator. Okay. We can go on to the
And
next
I
one.
think with this one, if I can interject, with having someone just go in and get information, we have so many program management systems now or CRMs where folks can just, you know, have a knowledge base where everyone has access to the same information. There's no need for them to have access to your system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the one great thing about the cloud. Yes, I am a Microsoft house. I mean, we have other aspects as well, but we are partnered with Microsoft, and the cloud, it makes it very feasible and affordable to be able to lock things down and to, apply different roles for your different employees. Okay, so the next one is don't share your neighbor's network. We're home, okay? Everyone should have their own router. Everyone should have their own router set up. If you are in a office situation and you still are in the office and you have a guest network, none of your computers should be on your guest network. Everything should be on your own private network for the company. Okay. Also, when you have a federal contract, you never should use home computers. you know, again, Microsoft Office 365 has a great way to, when you use Windows 10 Pro, it allows you to connect and actually use your Office 365 account to log into the actual computer, which then is now, you know, not a home computer, it's your business work computer. How to fail for this one: sharing a Wi-Fi with another business in the same building. If someone is network savvy, anybody, whatever network you get on, your mom's when you're visiting for Thanksgiving and Christmas, your neighbors, or Starbucks, if you're connected to their network, guess what? Let there be one smart guy who's sitting there, or woman who's bored and want to just hack into your system just for fun, because most of the time hackers do it just for fun. So
Yeah. It's the thrill
yes,
of the chase.
yes, let me see if I can do it. Okay, I did it. You know, and then your life is turned upside down. So we can. Okay, don't share your data with the world. Okay, so OneDrive, Dropbox, Google Drive. If you are sharing documents and links and it's open and it doesn't have any type of password or a restriction on it, you have failed. Okay, because I know it with OneDrive in particular, there is an option to share this document or share this link with anyone. That's exactly what it means. You share it with anyone. So if you share it with them, they can share it with someone else, they can share it with someone else. And how many people now have access to your document or your environment? Okay, please don't share folders this way, right? And then next thing you know, you're putting sensitive data in the folder as well. So with OneDrive, Dropbox, Google Drive, please make sure that it is actually have security on any links that you share to anyone that to access your documents. We can move on. Okay. Again, this is reiterating, make accounts for each employee, not only for the device, but also for accounts. Everyone should not be sharing the same account. Okay. It's okay. I mean, if you would need to spend an extra $4 or $5 just to create another user account on whatever platform you have, it's worth the $4 to $5 than for your information be compromised. Okay. So and also make sure that not to allow people to have, you know, like I said, there how to fail. Multiple people have access to your computer, you know, and don't store. Okay, so if you have websites, do not store any sensitive information on your websites. Websites actually allow you to upload documents and save documents onto the site. That's a public facing internet feature, which someone can actually hack to get in. All documents should be stored online with a system such as, you know, OneDrive or Google Drive, but it has to be safeguarded. It has to be protected. Any documents you put on your website, please let them just be public-based general documentation. Okay, we can move on. Okay, so change the default passwords, and you should never know the passwords of any of your employees, only your own. Even when you have someone that works for you, when you set their password, you need to set it to have the user change it on next login. That means that when they change it, when you send them the temporary password, they should be prompted to change it. Also, you need to have password policies in place on every device, meaning every 60 to 90 days, someone should be prompted to change their password. Okay. We can move on. Okay, crush it, shred it, or overwrite it before you trash it. Okay, so you have a computer, it died on you. You're like, this old thing, I can't take it anymore. I'm done with it. What do you do with it? Okay, first thing you don't do is before you get rid of it, before you decide to trash it, you need to contact a IT sanitizing company. They can go ahead and put put a CD in there, wipe it clean, okay? Because you leave fingerprints on devices. Whatever you do, even if you think, oh, I'm gonna hit the reset and wipe it off, it didn't wipe it off. Someone can still get into it, okay? It can still get into it.
Or either we always think that and sit it to the side and then never go back for it.
Exactly. And if that's fine. If you sit it to the side and it doesn't leave your possession, that's fine. It's the problem is when you're getting rid of it. when you're going to, you know, recycle it. If you're going down to your local recycle, you know, location in your area, that's when you have to get rid of it. Or you can take the old great hammer, okay, and crush them out of that hard drive so it is not obtainable. Either way, whatever, you know, I mean, that might be a stress reliever, you know, take a
Right.
hammer and pound out some hard drives. So we can move forward. So basically, just be careful with your thumb drives, hard drives, everything like that. Get away from my computer. What this means is if you have a location, your office, your home, if you're anywhere, your computer should not be easily accessible. Okay, they should be in an office, in a corner, in the back. They have to actually maneuver to get there. Someone walking right into your home should not be able to, or your office should not be able to access your machines and see what's, you know, what you have. So also make sure you're not, again, where it says how to fail, running cables for your internal network to wall jack on the guest a network. Again, that's in the guest network. Your networks need to be different if you have it. I actually have, I have an office and then I have a home office. My home office actually has two routers. I have my home router and then I have a business router. And all of my business devices are connected to, I don't interchange them. Everything's connected to my business for my business. So that's, we pretty much covered that before, but just reiterate it on the actual physical locations of your devices. They should not be out and open.
And it seems like these requirements, all 17 are listed in the same FAR regulation, but they are reiterating themselves.
They
You
are.
know, yeah.
They really are. I mean, well, you can have, well, let's say you have someone who, you know, you have all the other ones in place, but then your computer's at the front door. So you might have followed all of the network requirements, but then as soon as someone comes to the front door, your machine is right there and it's open for easy access, then you're failing. So, right. And one thing I found with this is that it takes on not the technical, just not the technical aspect, but also the physical aspect as well.
Right.
We can move on. Okay, stop unauthorized people and supervisors, meaning I know if you have ever worked or been to a government building, you have to be escorted or you have to have some type of credentials to get in. Same thing for your business. You have to know who is there. If someone is not supposed to be there, they should be escorted, especially once you're certified and you know, not even once you're certified, before you're certified, get in the habit of it. If someone's not supposed to be in your area, if you don't know them, they should be escorted at all times and never left alone to happen to get on one of your machines to acquire any type of information. And that comes for someone coming to doing maintenance in your work, in your home, you know, utility person, not only in your home, but in your office. Anybody that is unauthorized need to be escorted.
And what I noticed too, some of these requirements, they're similar to the things that you need to have in place to have a facilities clearance. So if you have a facilities clearance, you're already doing some of these things, or if you're planning to get one, this I would think would make it a little bit easier for you.
Mm-hmm. And then you can knock out two birds with one stone.
Hopefully, but not likely.
Hopefully.
Or wishful thinking, rather.
Right. Right. Well, it helps either one, both can help you, you know, one
Yeah.
will wash things. So who was here yesterday? You need to have an audit log of sign in sheet, sign out sheet, who was in your area. Okay. That's pretty much it because, or in surveillance, cameras are good to have too, because if someone comes in and you find out your computers were stolen, you need to have a way to track that. Or any data, thumb drive, external hard drive, whatever the case may be. Anything external should always be locked up in a safe. If you have data it should always be locked up in some sort of type of safe to keep you, but you should also have a log on who was in your area. I'm gonna need your key back. Really, not many people should have a key. It should probably be count on one hand how many people should have a key, unless you are such a large corporation that you need, you know, a key fob or a pass to get in. Okay, and then whatever access you give someone, then you must have them to bring it back. Make sure your area is secure. And I see some chats coming in. I'm going to address all of your concerns app during the Q&A. Okay. But keep them coming. Okay. So we can address them. Okay. Keep your computer inside the firewall. So firewall is basically a barrier before it gets into your network. It stops unwanted or unauthorized traffic from coming in and accessing your resource. Firewalls can be configured with third-party software. I mean, firewalls are they're very common. They're very easy. You can even use a Windows firewall that comes on your machine. That's a great starting point. I probably would go with another software, but at least that's something where you're not allowing all traffic, any and everybody to be able to access your machine. Okay. So how to fail with this: posting a Wi-Fi password to your internal network on the whiteboard outside in your seating area, for everyone to be able to get in. Okay. And also how not to fail is not using a firewall. So you have to have a firewall before the firewall comes right before your router, your internet router. Okay. We can move on. Okay. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So some of the things I'm saying that, seems very obtainable for you to do. If you don't you have to be honest with yourself. Okay. I do IT. I don't do finance, or like my finance records very well. So what do? I have a CPA come and he does my books. Why? Because that's not what I do well. If you are not an IT person, please do not try to take the short way out or the easy way out if you don't have a full understanding of what's required. It's okay to contract someone out. 1099, it's a tax write-off, right? I mean, you can get that, and you don't have to hire someone, but 1099 them, or contract, or write it off as an expense. Well, hire someone that knows what they're doing. Just don't think that you know what you're doing, and then you spend all that money to get audited, and then you fail.
Or you spend all that money to have a proposal prepared, and then you come in and, in the midst of your performance, you fail your audit. So that could possibly, I can see, you getting into an issue where now the agency may be thinking about terminating you for defaulting, because this is a term and condition that's in the contract, and by you not maintaining your audit status or your CMMC status, then you could possibly be defaulting on your contract.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, install updates, self-explanatory. All right, just to let you guys know, Windows XP and Windows 7 are no longer supported. Okay, so if you are on a Windows XP or Windows 7, it is time to upgrade. Okay, Microsoft no longer makes patches for them. That means that you're open to any vulnerabilities that may come. Make sure your updates, all your phones, your devices, your anything. Just make sure you keep your updates. Updates are a pain. I know I'm gonna keep hitting later. I got stuff to do. I don't got time for this, right? Let them run on the weekend, but get them done. Yes, it's a pain. They have to restart your machine. You have to close out all the documents and everything you're working in, but it is so worth it because, again, it'll allow you to pass the certification, and it's just something that you'll get used to doing. When the updates come, just let them run and make sure that you have all the latest updates, because it fixes all of the issues. That's what updates do. And that's it. All right, use antivirus. We only have a couple more to go. So use antivirus. Okay, yes, let it scan. Again, it's just like the update thing. It's an inconvenience. However, let it run during the weekend, at night, Sunday night, Saturday night, when you're not thinking about it. You can actually set your systems to do it automatically. Use your antivirus system to do a scan on your machine to make sure it doesn't pick up any malware or any type of viruses that may be on your machine, so it can clean it out. Also, it prevents anything to come on your machine in the first place. Okay. So how to fail. But real quick, how to fail is to ignore it. If you ignore the warning that you have from your AV. Okay, we can go ahead. Okay, so threat protection. Threat protection is basically, again, your firewall, your antivirus. Threat protection is also a monitoring system. Office 365 actually comes with threat protection. It allows you to actually as well, look at your phishing, any type of phishing emails that you may have, any links in your emails that you may have, that may you click on and then boom, your device is compromised. So you also look for some type of threat protection that not only is it with your antivirus and your firewall, normally it comes with it, but it also will warn you, hey, this may not be, quarantine it. It'll won't even bring it to you. It'll allow it to go into like a little holding, and you can see whether or not it's supposed to be released or not. So threat protection is so antivirus, firewall, and threat protection. Those are all one. Okay, let me go ahead. And then, of course, we just talked about enable antivirus scans. I'm not going to go long wind on that. Okay, so so that's
All
level
17. That's a
one.
lot.
We went over every 17, all of 17, and it is a lot. It's a lot to take. It doesn't seem like it's hard, but the thing is putting it in practice. And that's what you have to just start training yourself into now, because you don't want to wait. You want to just be, this is real easy. We already got this. We've been doing this for, 1 or 2 years. We've already got level 17, level 1 down. That's what you want to start implementing. So like I said, level 2, the requirements is building your bridge to level 3. Now I was doing some research. I didn't see it on the DoD site, so I'm gonna be honest with you, but I did see that some of the RFQs and RFIs aren't going to require level 2. They're mostly gonna be level 1 or level 3. So they're making level 2 is like the bridge to get you to level 3. Okay. But again, that wasn't official off of DoD. It's just some things that kind of was floating around in cyberspace. Okay. But regardless of the fact, level 2 will get you to level 3. So it adds 55 practices on top of it. And again, level 1 is for federal contract information. Level 2 is for unclassified. Level 2 is unclassified information. So now you're dealing with government information on your systems.
And it doesn't say it here, but level 2, that's when the NIST requirement comes in here, and it is listed in here in one of the previous slides, the NIST regulation that outlines the additional 55 things that you need to do.
Yes, absolutely. So with the level 3, this is where we're at the 130. So now you had the 17, and just as Amora said, you add the additional 55, and now we're at level 3. We're at the 130 required processes. Okay, so basically, this can be referred as like the ongoing security management. Level 2 requires like defense contractors to establish the policies, the procedures, and the plan to implement, the security element. But level 3, it takes it a step further. It's a detailed review of the policy and procedures and practices, along with dedicated resources to meet the plan and activities. These extra measures help to ensure that security solutions are implemented correctly, and able to be fully effective. Achieving level 3 means your organization has implemented the appropriate solution, is actively monitoring, and this requires a significant amount of resources. So what I did was just list them, okay? You have access control, asset management, awareness and training, audit and accountability, security assessment, configuration management, identification and authentication. That means who you are and logging into things, incident response. Now, this is everything has to be documented, maintained. Okay, so that's why I said that the higher levels, the more of the investment you're really making. Maintenance, media protection, physical protection, personnel security, recovery, risk management, situational awareness, systems of communications protection, and system and information integrity. So these are the higher, these are like the heading, and then the 130 processes fall within all of these headings here.
And I see this also taking on where proposals are concerned, just like you have to submit to an agency what's your quality control plan, um, you're going to have, or your risk mitigation plan, they're going to want to know what's your cybersecurity plan. And I can definitely see um, this being an additional no requirement for proposals.
Absolutely. And then also with level 3, I know that they actually have templates. I know Microsoft has a template for an environment for level 3. It doesn't, it's not everything, because the cloud can't do everything, because some of it, the policy procedures, you have to get through additional firewalls and that sort of thing. But they do offer like a template, at least for the cloud portion of it, for a level 3.
Mhm.
So level 4 and level 5, okay, move on. So again, policies performed like we saw on the chart. For level 4, documented, managed, reviewed. Level 5, policies performed, document, managed, reviewed, and optimized. And then level 4 and 5 is using the NIST SP 800-171B plus UK Cyber Essentials. So they're pulling from UK as well, and Australia Cyber Security Central, and a Center Essential 8 maturity model. So they're not only taking what we have, they're going worldwide to see what other countries are doing and are implementing it, and they want to implement it here. Okay. And so we go down. So that's it. So I guess, Zamora, we can go ahead and start addressing the questions.
Sure. So our first question, well, our first comment is coming from Nikki. She feels that this is some really good information, and thanks for arranging this. Then our first question comes from Adam Perlman. And so his question is, how do some of these actually play out if you are running a remote or a home-based business? So and also I'll add on top of that, because I have a little knowledge back as it relates to Adam's business. I would also say if they're operating outside of the US, because we do have some American-based firms that operate remotely. So how do they handle some of these, specifically, again, at home-based business, or remote, people working remote? And then the third thing, if they're operating outside of the continental US.
Outside this country. Well, if you're remote, again, the cloud is our friend. Thank goodness for the cloud, because everything that we have here, there are ways to implement it with AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, and with Office 365 or Microsoft 365. You don't even need to have a physical device. You can create virtual machines, to actually encompass all of the requirements. If you just have like a machine, and then they click on a link on the machine, it takes them to another machine, which is that has all the security. So how do you handle that remotely? If you have multiple employees, you can do it that way. You can use VPNs, virtual private networks. There's tons of different vendors that you can set up a VPN where, again, someone would not be able to access your environment unless they actually sign in, authenticate, and go through the checks and balances through a VPN, or through, like I said, a virtual machine on a whole nother network, and that can be set up. So the cloud is our friend for that.
What's
Uh,
the cost for that, setting up those additional machines? What's the cost to a small business to get that, things like that, done at a minimum?
at the minimum, well, it depends on what you need. It would, let me see here. It's not outrageous. I would say, like, if you had like an Azure subscription, and then it all depends on how their price is, how much resources you use. So how much bandwidth do you use within that virtual machine? So it's not like one machine costs you this amount. It's more of how much data are you using through that machine. So it could vary. It can vary from, let's say, 50, $100 a month, to, if you're really like, if you have a large infrastructure and you have a lot of people, then the cost may increase. So it really depends on how large you are and how much resources you're using. A
So
VPN will probably not that much. I mean, a VPN you can implement the that software. Again, it might just be a subscription based or fire. That you use, um, and you can actually use some of it with the VPNs with your ISP. Some of them may have VPNs that you can implement with it as well. But it's all about the configuration. So you would have to also, if you're not comfortable in configuring it, then you also add that cost of the consulting as well. I don't know. I can't give you a definite answer as for the price because it all depends on your
will you get to
environment
do it?
and if you know how to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you know how to do it, or if you hire someone to do it, and then that's going to vary, with your contractor. So,
Right.
another cost type question. Henry Williams is asking, are there? I'm sorry, not Henry Williams. Joey Blackwell. His question is, are there specific dollar amounts that are associated with the various levels, or that drive the various levels?
No, I think it's more the requirements. So as long as you're meeting the requirement, I mean, you know, if you find that malware bites, antivirus and malware, like a threat protector software, it's called malware bites. If that's cheaper than having a McAfee or something like that, and they do the same thing, I mean, go with the lesser cost. There's no set cost as long as whatever you have does what you need it to do.
Do you have a good list of some possible resources or different brands, I guess, that um, companies can look into? Because
I
the one
can
that
I
you
can put
just mentioned, I don't know. No. Okay.
However, yeah, I can get one together. I don't have one offhand, but yeah, I can, based on the 17, I can definitely get a list. And if people want to start pricing out, okay, I know I need, the cloud, the antivirus, the threat protection, the firewall. You can start looking and pricing out. I mean, however you do it,
It's up
it's
to
based on
you.
your how large you are, right? Exactly.
Yeah. And I would say, too, even at the level one, even if you don't have to document it, I would say document it when you're putting the things in place, because if you, it's good anyway to have good policies and procedures. That way you have repeatable things in place. So whoever comes and goes within your company, you know what the policy is. And then should you have to start, working on that level 2 or 3, you at least have the 17, right? Taken care of. Taken care of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, you know, just being really honest. If it's not your thing, then it's okay if it's not your thing. Okay. Don't be again, don't cut corners and then get yourself in a worse position and thinking that you can handle this yourself. If you're great at running your business and handling the other portions of it, then continue doing that. I outsource with my business on things that I can't handle, as an owner. So
Who has time
I
to
am
learn something else?
oh,
I'm
right.
I'm trying to keep the 3 things I know, right? Just trying to keep them front of mind.
Exactly. But it's good to educate yourself too, so that
Right,
when you talk to someone, you know exactly, kind of, you have an idea of what you're looking for and seeing if they have the capabilities to do it.
definitely. And then you know the impact, right? Not having
Exactly.
it will have on your business. So, Henry Williams, now this is his comment. This is a great webinar. Please start working on these as soon as possible. So yes, sooner than later. I think starting fiscal year 21, which starts tomorrow. Today is the last day of fiscal year 20. Woot woot to everyone who possibly that won opportunities this fiscal year, finished strong. But yeah, there are, I think I read where there were at least 10 contracts or multi-award contracts that were coming out in October or November timeframe that will have this requirement in there, and it could possibly impact, I think, about 1,500 contractors on the low end. So you just never know. If you are out, making partners and you're trying to get these subcontracting opportunities, you don't want to be caught, not having it. So it's better to be prepared than not prepared. So that's it for all of our questions. I really, really appreciate you guys joining us this morning. We are doing these webinars once a month. So our next speaker for the month of October is Mr. Tommy Marks from the MBDA Federal Procurement Center, and he is going to give you guys some information about the MBDA Federal Procurement Center, and if you've never heard about them, how they can support you in getting your next government contracting opportunity. So I always say there is more than one way to skin a cat, right? And I don't know everything, so you definitely need to know all the resources that are available to you to grow in the government contracting space. So he is going to share some great information with us in October. And so I'll be sending out in the next week or so information on how you can register for this upcoming webinar. Um, and if you would like to connect with us on Facebook in our online community, here's the link here. And you can also stay connected with us by visiting us online. And last but certainly not least, if you have any additional questions, you need some help, please reach out and contact Halima. She is definitely going to get a list together to share. So when we send out the link, we'll also send, if that's okay for me to say, that we'll send out that list of things that she's going to get together for us, or either you can contact her directly. Her phone number and email is here. And she didn't let you guys know she is all the way. Where are you calling from? She's muted. You're muted. You're still muted.
I'm unmuted. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
West Virginia, but I'm on the panhandle, so I'm like, Western Maryland is my neighbor. So,
West Virginia. See, we got reach, y'all. No, I'm joking. She's coming all the way from West Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, and there is one more comment in the chat for you right before you leave. Our very last thing, for the contracts with CMMC requirements, those companies will go through the provisional assessment process as a priority. Yes, that is correct. All right. Well, I thank you again, Halima, for coming and sharing with us this morning. Thank you guys for taking the time to get up and put an hour aside to learn more, grow more, and do more in your business. So thank you again, and you guys have a good day. And this will be out shortly for the replay. Thanks again. Bye, everybody.